Reddit. What was something you did and thought was normal until you got a roommate? When I'd get home late at night from work or whatever, I'd never bother to turn on the kitchen light and would end up cooking in the dark. My roommate pointed out that it was a little creepy to encounter at 1 AM. There was a woman on an episode of Extreme Cheapskates who tries to use a lot of electricity at night, cooking dinners ahead of time, vacuuming, etc. Her power company charges much lower rates in the middle of the night. When anyone is asleep in the house, I move around like a cat burglar, super stealthy regardless of what I'm doing. Time for a meal? Sneak that plate out like you're Indiana Jones, without making a clink. And you better hit pause reset when the microwave is at 1 second, because those 3 extra beeps are not okay. Also headphones. One of my roommates and I work together, but on rotating schedules. When he worked mornings, I was on night, and vice versa. He'd come home at 1 AM and start playing video games for hours with his speakers up, knowing full well I needed to be up early. None of my roommates ever seemed to have made the effort to be quiet. The next batch I lived with I always worked nights, so I was super quiet when I got home and made dinner, but they were stomping around and slamming doors and crap in the morning. Wash dishes by hand. I never really thought about how much other people use their dishwashers until I moved into an apartment with one. My roommate had to teach me how to use it. My dad always said he had 3 dishwashers, myself and my 2 siblings. Leaving the Netflix captions on. I leave them on in case someone starts being loud, but my roommate says he can't pay attention to the show if they are on. I thought sleeping with the door open was completely normal until my roommate walked in and started talking to me when I was asleep thinking I was awake. I moved back into my parents' house when I decided to try to finish my degree to save on rent, and they sleep with the door open drives me freaking crazy, because they go to sleep early as heck and I feel like I can't do anything in the house without bothering them. Putting out candles before leaving the house, turning the oven off after I'm done using it. Basically trying to prevent house fires. Turns out some people don't think about these things. They don't, or they forget. Repeatedly. My roommate boils water now because the air is getting drier as we head into winter. Except he will forget about it until the water boils out, and the last time, I found the stove still on the next morning. Like, dude, at the least you are ruining my cookware and at the most you could burn our freaking house down. Walking around the house only in my underwear. This is one of those things whose weirdness actually depends on whether you have roommates. Prioritize rent so that it is paid on time, before I buy food or pay any other bills. Apparently this isn't normal. I think I've had too many crappy roommates. My oldest son moved to an apartment and university to live with 4 other guys. All from the state of Kansas except they were from western Kansas and he was from central Kansas. Apparently, even in this short of distances, what you eat can be very different. First morning, he made pancakes and started to eat them with peanut butter on top like usual. All of his roommates were shocked and never heard of doing that before. Later that day, he makes macaroni and cheese and every roommate asked him why he was eating it without ketchup. Giving the toilet bowl a quick scrub if you leave an impact mark. There are too many people in this world who leave it for the next person to find. I scoot out of my socks at the end of the day, like I just stand on the carpet and shuffle out of them. My roommate thought it was the weirdest crap. LOL. That is the weirdest crap. I might start doing that though. I leave my butter out on the table. On a butter dish, that's what they're for. Apparently, the roommates thought I was attempting to ruin all their butter by not refrigerating it. It's only acceptable if your butter dish has a cover. Nobody wants dust, or worse, like pet hair, covered butter. At my first apartment I was in with some friends, I would sometimes leave the house without saying where I was going, or announcing that I was leaving or anything, but my roommates thought this was weird. A couple of times they came running out behind me asking where I was going, and if I was mad and crap. LOL. This is funny because my ex's family was just like that. We'd be going somewhere like downtown and she'd let her family know beforehand. And I thought it was strange because at my house, our family just leaves whenever. Haha. Glad I'm not the only one. So growing up my family was really poor and we tried to be as resourceful as possible and reusing things whenever we could. One thing that stuck was reusing paper towels. Basically if I use a paper towel to dry off my wet hands or if I use it to lay a sandwich on top, I dust off the crumbs into the trash can afterwards. I leave it on the counter for later to reuse it for whenever instead of throwing it away. My roommate recently told me that I leave trash out on the table and counter and I realized she was talking about the paper towels. I guess I never thought they were gross, lol. The problem is that other people don't know what that towel was used for even if you do. I was a normal roommate for this one, but in college I had a roommate that showered by first filling the bathtub up to just a few inches, then splashing the water up onto himself while standing. Not the sounds I expected to hear after he said, "I'm going to take a shower." Not having any personal pictures or any decorations up on my wall, I moved in with 2 posters and my side looks so bare compared to my roommates whose walls are covered in personal photos and decorations. Both posters were gifts I got. I just didn't feel like spending extra money on decorations. I also go into other dorm rooms and they're decked out with TVs, photos, chairs, etc. Makes me wonder if I'm minimalist or just plain boring. Personal taste really. I had posters I bought and never hung up. Never really cared either. Guess we're boring. I'm super late to this party, and it's not me, but a friend's roommate. When he brushes his teeth at night, he puts his toothpaste on the brush, he does his brushy thing, and then freaking swallows all the toothpaste gook in his mouth and sleeps with the toothbrush in his mouth. Like crap, dude. Swallowing the toothpaste is a bit odd, but leaving the residue on your teeth is actually the only way that the whitening chemicals and fluoride work. The few minutes most people leave them there just isn't enough. If you've ever gotten a fluoride treatment from a dentist, they always recommend not brushing or drinking anything for at least 30-60 minutes, and that's with a concentrated mixture. I like to keep the shades closed because I don't like people outside to be able to see what I'm doing inside. I like my privacy, especially when in my own home, but apparently, my roommate thinks it's weird. We're constantly trading off on opening and closing them in our living room. Haha, glad I'm not the only open blind hater. I've had people come inside and ask me if I'm a freaking vampire because all the blinds are closed. Always. That if you're cold, put on warmer clothing. Apparently the correct answer is to turn on an inefficient heater while wearing a singlet, short shorts, and complain about how cold it is while we all pay for the power bill that is primarily off your use. Or play Watch Dogs on your computer at low settings and let your GPU work as a space heater. People not talking in their sleep. My roommate would speak a language that was from another planet whenever he went to bed, on top of snoring like he was being exercised. Like he was being exercised. Hey, a man's gotta work on those glutes even when sleeping. If I'm peeing and I accidentally get some on the floor, legit I'm sure this happens to everyone, I'll wipe it up with some toilet paper. Apparently this is abnormal because none of my 3 early 20s male housemates do this. My workmates have the same problem. They often somehow manage to get it all over the seat too. Like lifting the seat is too much of an inconvenience in a toilet that services the 30 guys on my floor. Getting real tired of wiping down other people's pee so I don't get it on me and my clothing. Doing dishes and cleaning the kitchen up after every meal. Apparently, some Ashats think the kitchen is something that is cleaned once a week or so. You'd be a great roommate. I keep my peanut butter and bread in the fridge. I have been informed by several roommates that this is abnormal behavior. Refrigerating bread helps it last longer before molding, but it also makes it stale very rapidly. It's hard to get used to if you prefer fresh tasting bread. That said, if what you're eating is Wonder Bread or a similar commercial bead, it barely matters either way. To be fair, I never thought this was completely normal, but I need the curtains open when I sleep. Otherwise it's too dark in the morning for me to wake up at a decent hour. You should buy semi-transparent light curtains. They let light in while they also keep your privacy. I shower at night. but I thought it was completely normal to use the same underwear that I wore before taking the shower again after the shower when I went to bed. I didn't realize it was really dirty to do that until I dormed for 2 weeks for a program and my friend told me it was dirty. I was just so used to changing my underwear only when I woke up, not after a shower. Now I change underwear after showers and after I wake up. It's wasteful but ehh. You went from weird to weird, completely missing normal. Recently moved in with my her sister, her sister's her mom, and her sister's baby. It's normal to have morning wood, but on a number of occasions, I forget that other people might be up at 4-5 am feeding the baby, going to the bathroom, etc. And I just come out of my room wearing nothing but skin tight whatties. Yeah, they've all seen my rod. It's like Three's Company for people crappy at math. Using shampoo as body wash instead of a bar of soap. I've done that for as long as I can remember, but my GF informs me I'm a weirdo. Yeah, my dad was super cheap, and when I wanted body wash as a prepubescent, I was told I could either use shampoo on my body and hair or he'd buy me bar soap to use on my body and hair, but not both. It took some serious convincing to get conditioner added to the grocery list. Being an adult is being able to wash yourself with all the different goddamn soaps you want. I am a woman of average weight with 38C breasts. I have never been able to put bras on in the normal way, unless they have a clasp in the front. I always close the back and then pull them over my head, as if I were putting on a shirt. I knew that not all women do it, from watching movies and TV shows, but my husband thought it was strange. You could try putting them on backwards first. Put them around your chest, clasp in front. Don't do anything with the straps. Close it, then turn it around and put your arms and boobs in. That might stretch your bras less. Talk to myself in the mirror. Half the time it's basically internal monologue and I don't even think about how I'm doing it out loud. Then one day a couple weeks into living in the dorms, I looked over and saw my roommate staring at me like I was some kind of deranged lunatic for having a conversation with myself about what time I should head home from the party later that night, in order to get enough sleep for class. When I'm super relaxed and reading or watching TV, I clench and unclench my butt cheeks in semi-rhythmic patterns. I can do each cheek individually, and I used to play the drums, so I find myself subconsciously batting out little beats with my butt until someone walks past and asks what the heck I'm doing. One roommate thought it was normal to hoard all the dishes in his room. We started to wonder when we had very little silverware, and one bowl left. The other belief was that doing laundry was completely unnecessary. After a month and a half, we had to go to laundry mats on the weekend. We said, you will wash your clothes or find a new place to live. Just don't understand some people. I put tea bags in the sink to drain for a while so they don't get the bottom of the bin wet and create mold. My housemate thought I was a freak for doing this. Apparently referring to the TV remote as a box is a colloquialism that did not overlap with my freshman roommate. PS. Frick UTJUT. My roommate used to make raven noodles, throw out the seasoning and coat it in butter and Parmesan cheese. Fair enough, it's delicious. Well, when we were out of butter he would douse it in Pam. His rationale being that it's just butter spray. It's not the same, I assure you. Hang my shirts according to color group. Makes it easier to find what you're looking for when you're in a sleep-deprived days. Besides, it looks pretty. My roommate found it incredibly anal and OCD. I know a guy with a huge collection of metal t-shirts, all organized alphabetically, and then each band is organized by album year and tour date. I have an older brother, who is awesome and somewhere on Reddit, that always said I've got places to go, people to kill. I always just said that assuming it to be at least somewhat normal, up until sometime during school I said that and the person with the locker said it's I've got places to go, people to see. Changed my life. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.